let me try and make this a better video. So, the few things that I've had to fix. I had no oil pressure. I did not have the start switch on. Yes, my hands are shaking. I'm very excited. Been a long time coming. Been looking at this damn engine for over a year now in the corner of my shop. Oh, hey. It's leaking here. So I guess maybe my jumper wasn't in there quite right. So let's try this with everything. Fire it up. We are starting this project. It's been a long time coming. I have really been looking forward to at least hearing this engine run. I have a lot of stuff over there that I showed in the last video that will be utilized for this. So obviously gonna need all the injectors, I got a full exhaust there. And there's a tuner and the gauge cluster and a few other bits and pieces. But here's the new clutch basket. So the original issue with the engine was that the clutch basket blew up and it took out I do believe the side of this case. So I have actually I have an entire new clutch there. So once we get the clutch installed, we can look everything over. It is pretty dirty on the inside. You know, the guy I bought it from, I think I got it for like 400 bucks, which, you know, it's a 1000 RR engine. I mean, just parting it out alone is worth more than that. But as a complete, like potentially ready to start unit, pretty badass for that price. So anyways, once I get the clutch and stuff installed, then I'll start worrying about making a stand for it as a starter and everything. I did make sure it worked. I'll have to get like a small heat exchanger or something just as a radiator. So what I want to do, I want to make this into an engine stand, like a run stand, I should say. That will allow me to just come in here, turn the key on, fire it up, listen to it for a little while, shut it off. And if I put a radiator on it, I can listen to it for, you know, about as long as I want, really. So I'll have to figure out some kind of a gas tank and a fuel pump, but this shouldn't really be too difficult. So here is the old clutch basket. And as you can see, part of it is missing. So someone's already had all this off. That was already removed at some point and inspected. I looked down in the oil pan, which is down in there, and I didn't see any pieces. I may take the oil pan off once I get it mounted to something. It's kind of wedged at the moment. But the actual damage is here. And you can see the smallest amount of light through it. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get something on the back side here, just something nice, thick and flat, and then kind of just tap this side, trying to close it up. And once I get it closed up, I'm just gonna JB weld both sides of it and leave it. And I think that's gonna be fine because the oil level is, you know, it probably never goes past here. Well, it doesn't. It never goes past right there. So this is just gonna be residual runoff from the clutch basket, spraying it. I don't think it's gonna be a problem at all. So that's the first step. Okay, doke, we're back with you. I got this side cleaned real well. I cleaned it twice with brake cleaner, sprayed air through the cracks. I was able to, you'll probably see it on the time lapse, I was able to kind of very gingerly tap on the case and try and flatten those edges out a little bit, which it worked pretty good. So then I JB welded both sides, and I think that's gonna be just fine. I tried to keep this side a little more flat, and I really tried to pile up on this end. To replace this side of the engine, not impossible, but the entire thing would have to be disassembled, and I am not trying to do all that. So let's cross our fingers this works. Things can be fine. So tomorrow, or whenever I come back out here, I will work on getting all this stuff clean. I'm gonna see if I can source those wave washers and thrust washer, and then once it's all clean, I can put it back together. So I have cleaned all of the clutch parts completely in gasoline. Couldn't find anything else it was better to use. The clutch discs are down in there and the steels. The fibers are the ones that I was kind of worried about, which is why I use gasoline. Everything else was just dirty and crusty and nasty. Cover got clean in gas as well, soaking the spark plugs and a few other things that were just kind of gummed up. Probably gonna get new spark plugs, but hopefully those will last. But what I wanted to show you was how much stuff was on all of those parts. So if you can see down in there, and that would have just gone right into the engine had I not cleaned it all. Can't believe there was that much in there. But there was. The inside of the engine looking pretty good. Let's see if I can get this off with one hand. So there's the inside of the cover, looks okay. The JB Weld looking all right. And then everything in here is pretty clean. So once I get it up off the actual table here, I'm gonna take the oil pan off, clean that too, because it's absolutely nasty in there. A lot of this stuff really should be cleaned. I kind of cleaned the surface of it, but I really should just kind of spray it down and let the gas kind of drip down into the pan. Maybe I'll do that once I get it all apart, because it's all just kind of got a layer of nastiness on it. Really kind of feels sandy. I think when I picked the engine up, the cover was off. So, you know, who knows how long it's been sitting like that. So anyways, once I get it up on the engine hoist, we'll get back with you. We are back. I was able to get the engine up off the work table, and I took the oil pan off. We do get a pretty good look at the inside here. So this end has some definite wear indicators. Obviously something's been wearing, could be clutch material, could be who knows anything. The oil that was in there, I don't know how old it is. The dude I bought it from said he used to put transmission fluid and kerosene in the cylinders to keep them from rusting, which, you know, if that's the case, that's totally fine. But I don't know if that really looks like kerosene or transmission fluid. It just looks like oil, so who knows. So I'm gonna clean all that up and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. But I'm gonna give you a good little look in here. Anyways, everything looks pretty good. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this over the bench. I'm gonna clear the bench off, get maybe a pan underneath of it. And I'm just gonna spray everything down with gas and just kind of get all the crap off of all the parts, because it's all pretty dusty in there. And that's the last thing I want, is to start up an engine full of dust and then end up having to buy a new one. So there's an update, and we'll let you know what it looks like when it's clean. Okay, I have sprayed it all down with gasoline. It's looking a lot cleaner. Definitely a lot of junk came out of there. I'm a little bit worried that, you know, I potentially just washed all the rust protection off of all these parts. I might spray everything down with WD-40 just to be safe once it dries. But I mean, the flakes that I got out of the engine, you can see them moving around there in the bottom. Trying to get the mounts right on this thing. I wanted it to be removable. This is an engine cradle for a 350 engine, I'm pretty sure. Will I ever use this again? Most likely not, but I don't see the reason to weld to it if I don't have to. My contraption, piece of angle iron here, I'm gonna weld this tube to it, and then this is the bolt that'll go right into the engine. So this part's removable, it's all in one bolt. It's pretty short. That should be great. And then back here, I think I'm gonna build out and then up, and it'll do that on both sides. And then once I get the fronts done, I can start on the backs. And that, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do here. It's gonna be a spacer of some sort and probably a flat iron piece because it's pretty short. But this is nice because it gives me enough space to come up and build the radiator portion while still fitting the intake up on top. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do about the exhaust. It may just come straight up. So that might work out. I might just get an extension piece or something so I can get it out the window or the door when I wanna fire it up. But, you know, progress. Progress is slow. But there it is. Okay, we have ourselves an update. So I've been doing a little welding, been doing a little painting, and basically came up with this. So it is not pretty, I understand that. Actually, it had some blowout from the gas right there, but it's gonna hold. So again, I wanted everything to be removable. So I just got a piece of flat steel here, a couple tubes intersecting, and bolted up, and that's gonna be just fine. So now I wanna work on the back. That should be pretty easy. While I'm working on mounting the engine, a little side project that I wanted to do. So this is my metal cabinets that I got for free. So currently they are bluish gray, as you can see there. And while that's a fine color, originally they were white, I want them to be the same color as this cabinet. Why is this cabinet yellow and red? So this was supposed to be a fire cabinet. They're supposed to be yellow. They're supposed to have some red on them, I believe. This was a free cabinet that I got somewhere, somehow, Craigslist, I'm sure. Originally this color, and I just spray painted it one day. Actually, this was 2020 when I did this. I actually finished this the same day that I sprained my ankle and was out for like 6 months. So anyways, I was planning on painting those ones as well. My buddy had the great idea, instead of pulling the whole thing off the wall, just paint the face of it. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna just take the paint down just to, maybe not bare metal, but you know, at least a layer through this house paint. And then I have just the same exact paint that I used on the other one. And then that'll be done. Lead paint is banned in all countries. Lead paint is very bad. We don't know if this is lead paint. He will be using all the appropriate items: vacuum, sander, fan, all of the things to make sure that he does not inhale or touch lead. So what are we doing?
We're painting stuff.
We're not. We're sanding first.
We're sanding stuff.
We're going to sand the house paint off of this, like I said before. Maybe not down to bare metal, but at least, that's not how we sand, but that's fine. At least past this first gray coat. And then once that's done, we have already started the red on this one. So basically, we're gonna get 2 stripes down here, and then over this way. It's gonna be a little more gradual, kind of like an Atari symbol. Didn't really mean to do that. It was just really easy to set up. So you ready to work?
Yes.
Cool. We are cherry picker free. We are welded up. Had to throw the whole idea of it being removable in the rear out the window because there's literally no place to attach things. If it looks, those back casters don't rotate. If it looks a little crooked on the stand, it's because I didn't measure it. But I did check for flat because the oil level has to be in a certain area. Mute that. Hold up. Come here. So we've seen this mount. We've seen that mount. So I just threw a bolt through the swing arm mount, a couple nuts. Boom. She mounted. So I am waiting on parts. There is quite a few parts I'm waiting on. One of the parts I'm waiting on is the oil filter, the actual adapter that screws into the block so you can screw a filter on. I don't know who took that off, what they were thinking, but you know, can't even close that hole up without that. So that's on its way. The nut for the clutch basket, that's kind of a one-time use. The exhaust header nut, they are missing. I thought they came with it. I don't know where they are. They're a 7x10, which is a pretty weird size. I don't have that in like all the buckets of nuts and bolts that I have. So I had to order that as well. The front here, we'll build, you know, a little shelf to get the radiator on it. Maybe it'll go all the way up on both sides and then kind of cross just to give it some strength. Figure out how to plumb it in. Get all these weird little hoses connected somehow. My son helped me, as you probably saw on the time lapse, helped me get a couple of these ready. So I'm gonna tape these up before I get out of the shop tonight. And then I'm gonna hit them with some yellow paint, let them dry all night. today we are trying to get this engine started. That's going to be a pretty big ask. I still need to reassemble it and clean it and mount everything, but I think it's possible. It's 11 o'clock right now. I've been out here for a couple hours just kind of cleaning things, getting things organized. I'll show you what I got. So I had to order a few things. So this is the actual clutch nut. You have to stake it, which means it's kind of a one-time use. So I got two of those. This wave washer and this spacer washer that go on the end of the starter gear. So I got those. For some reason, the oil filter adapter stud was not there, so I had to buy one of those. The exhaust nuts I could not find. They're like a M7 by 1, so they're kind of a weird size, so I just found some on eBay. So those are in, and then I have a clutch slave cylinder, which is kind of not necessary for this particular project, but it was like 20 bucks on eBay, so it was a no-brainer. So let me show you what I've got here. All of this looked kind of dusty even after I sprayed the bottom side of it with gasoline. So I came in here today and I sprayed it all with gas. And, you know, I'm not super excited about that because there is exposed bearings here. But I figure dry is better than starting up with dirt and grime in them. At least that's my hope. So maybe I'll kind of squirt some oil in the exposed bearings there just to make sure they're lubed. But as you can see, everything looks a little dry since I just cleaned it. So the next steps, I am going to consult the manual. I'm gonna get all the clutch stuff put in. I got the time lapse going, so hopefully you'll be able to see that. And then once the clutch is installed, I will come back with you, show you everything, and then we'll get the cover on. Welcome back. It's been after lunch. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a little while. So another setback. It looks like the cover's on and we're good to go. Unfortunately, we are not. So one of the things that puzzled me was what that little hole right there was for. You know, I just kind of put it on the back burner until I got to this point, and I was like, hey, before I seal this up, let me figure out what that is. That is the magnetic pickup. It basically reads the crank signal in here, and it's missing. I can't find it. It didn't come with the engine, I guess. So this is not getting sealed up until I get that. That's basically the last thing that I need to start the engine. So with that in mind, I'm resealing the oil pan. There's sealant on there, silver. And then I'm gonna start mounting the radiator and everything else that I need. And then once that part comes in, I just reseal this cover and hopefully get it started. So there's your halfway update. I'll let you know when I get something else done. Well, hello again. Like 4 or 5 o'clock right now. So let me walk you through what I've got done. So the radiator is mounted. Very basic mounting. We're not looking for like anything amazing. Just something to hold it in place, which is what we have. This is gonna be just fine. So I'll put a fan in the front if it starts running hot at some point. But now that that is set, I found out that the coolant fill neck is usually like in this area here, sorry. I don't have that piece, but luckily we have a fill here, so I just made sure this was higher than the thermostat so that all the air can go that way. Here's the end of the day update. So I got a lot done. Not quite as much as I'd like, but enough. Pretty happy. We got hoses. We got intake. You know, it's somewhat cobbled together. You know, it's just some old hose I had sitting around, and then, you know, it goes into an adapter, and then it just goes into there, and blah, blah, blah. But all the coolant hoses are hooked up. So theoretically, we could put water in it, but I'm not going to yet. I think the next step is I'm gonna kind of like tape off all the electrical. If there's any open holes, I'm gonna tape those off. I'm gonna take it outside and I'm just gonna pressure wash it because it's pretty gunky. You can draw your name on it if you wanted. The other thing is, when I took off the throttle bodies to clean them, I looked down into the head and the backside of the valves were very rusty. So I sprayed them with WD-40. You know, what can you expect with such a cheap engine? I don't really know that it's gonna affect anything. I mean, you know, if there's a piece of rust in between the valve when it closes, obviously that would affect something, but I mean, initially I'm just gonna get the thing fired up, just running, not full throttle right away. So, but there it is. Very happy with it so far. Okay, so there's a really good chance that this is not going to work, but kind of a shortcut to checking if there is spark is I'm just going to spray some brake cleaner in this thing, just see if it fires off, or at least tries to. I've not checked anything, don't have a bunch of things plugged in, probably going to complain about a lot, but let's just see. There's a few things you can forget when starting your engine. Oil's not one of them. It's probably a good thing that I took it slow today, because I almost forgot. For reference, I did not have the start switch on, so I've been kind of playing with all the connectors and trying to get everything figured out. I think I just got a little fire off, so I shut it off real quick, and now I'm going to get the spark plug back in, and we'll give it a real test here. But it seemed so far to be successful. Here we go. So we got gauges. Good there. Get my switch. What? Oh my God. This is concerning. It fired. Yes. Yes. Okay, so oil pressure. Why do we not have oil pressure? It could just be that it hasn't run long enough. And we definitely have oil there. How do we verify oil pressure? There really isn't a way for me to do that. Let's try it again. Concerning. Let me test the oil pressure switch and make sure it works. Okay, let me try and make this a better video. So, the few things that I've had to fix. I had no oil pressure, right? So indicated on here, you get two lights. You get the actual oil pressure light, and then you get a red light, which I think is just a monitoring light until the bike starts. So, because I didn't get oil pressure, I started doing some testing. So, the oil pressure switch down here, pretty simple, on or off. So I put some pressure on the crankcase, right, with the air hose. And then I found an air leak on the other side, which happened to be the clutch rod, because I didn't have that in because I didn't think I needed it. So I plugged that hole, plugged the vent holes, and started cranking it, and finally got a little oil pressure. So then I put the clutch rod in, and the clutch slave, which is this guy here. So once all that's in, I cranked it again, no oil pressure. I'm like, oh geez. So this is the adapter I use. It just happened to fit right inside the oil fill. And then I put an O-ring on it just to make sure it had a good seal. So once I put some pressure on it, started cranking, I got oil pressure. I took the air pressure off and still had oil pressure. So I think we're okay with oil pressure. I think it was just dry, I just needed primed. The second thing is, when you buy these oil containers for your motorcycle, they are 4 quarts. This thing only holds 4 quarts. I thought it was a 5-quart container because some of the new like Mobile One containers are 5 quarts. So I only had it at like 3.5, maybe 3 quarts. So on the sight glass, we are good now, obviously, as you can see. So let's try and fire this thing up again. Get some. Yes. And as you can see, the oil pressure light went out. We are good. So now the next step is fuel system. All right, we're close enough. I figure a video is probably best. So let's do this. There's the fire extinguisher. Not that I've ever had a fire, but I'm not trying to have one today. We're at 50 pounds. Pretty good so far. Some pressure, but nothing's leaking. I think we're ready to fire this thing up. Obviously all of this is temporary, just trying to start it now, and then I'll make a little like a run stand interface kind of like here. Okay, let's try something else quick. Nope, something not right. Something not working. Okay, is that recording? Sweet. So I guess maybe my jumper wasn't in there quite right. So let's try this with everything. Yes! Yes! Got oil pressure. Wow, sounds pretty good. Oh, we don't have water in it. Well, this thing runs for a long time with no fuel. Awesome! Yes! Let's put water in it. Hell yes! So obviously I've never put water in it, so it could leak. Yes, my hands are shaking. I'm very excited. Been a long time coming. Been looking at this damn engine for over a year now in the corner of my shop. Oh, hey. It's leaking here. Alright, let's try that. Fire it up. Yes. making it permanent. We'll probably do that in the next video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. See you next time.